In this section, we're going to teach you about another really popular Agile framework called Kanban. Kanban is similar to Scrum in that it provides and focuses on providing early value to the organization while also having collaborative and self-managing teams. This actually all started with Toyota back in the 1940s. They wanted a way to more visually understand their workflow and the work items and to more easily identify bottlenecks in that workflow. So they created the Kanban framework. Now, over the years, this has been adopted and adjusted and refined, so it's definitely not the same Kanban that was in the 1940s, but it's always good to know kind of where it started and why it got created. Today, a lot of software companies and different organizations utilize Kanban to help them achieve value in their various projects that they're working on. But where I want to actually start is the 4 basic principles of Kanban. This is really the heart and soul of the framework. So the first one is start with what you do now. What Kanban is saying here is, hey, you don't have to conform your whole organization around Kanban like you have to do with some Agile frameworks such as Scrum. Instead, Kanban will come and form to your organization. So start with what you do now. The second thing is agree to pursue incremental change. You have to understand, if you're doing a waterfall type of approach, you're going to get a huge amount of value, but there's going to be a huge amount of time that is kind of wasted or utilized to provide that huge amount of value. Kanban and Agile in general is really looking at incremental changes, delivering value more often, but in much smaller increments, and then incrementing on that change and building upon that change to build out that big piece of value. The third basic principle of Kanban is to respect current processes, roles, responsibilities, and titles. Simply, this is saying you don't need to change everything with your organization to match Kanban. You don't have to make new roles and have people learn new responsibilities. Instead, you can utilize what you have and still use the Kanban framework, which is very, very intriguing for many organizations. And the fourth basic principle is encourage acts of leadership at all levels. This comes down to the self-managing teams. Self-managing teams mean that the team really doesn't have one overlooker, right? They don't have one manager that's watching them and keeping them on task. Instead, they are managing themselves. If they need assistance, they're reaching out and getting assistance. If there's some type of negotiation or issue that's happening as part of the project, they are all involved in that and helping to direct that in the correct way. So Kanban is really looking and saying, hey, be mature and really encourage those acts of leadership from your team members. So those are the 4 basic principles of Kanban.